Welcome to Seeking Numina. I'm your host, Elyse Wells, and I invite you to connect with the sacred wild within and around you through Numina, or sacred sites around the world, and the wisdom they hold. Together, let's remember the old ways, build relationships with land spirits, and dare to reach out to the fairies. The sacred wild is inviting you to dance in the moonlight. Will you answer their call? Today on the Seeking Numina podcast, I am joined by my first ever guest, my dear friend, George Lizos. George Lizos is the award-winning #1 best-selling author of Protect Your Light, Lightworkers Gotta Work, and Secrets of Greek Mysticism. He's also the creator of the Intuition Mastery School and is the host of Can't Host and the Lit Up Lightworker podcast. I love that you're also a multi-podcaster like me. And his newest book, which we're going to talk about today, is Ancient Manifestation Secrets, drawing from ancient Greece and the Hermeticism aspect of the wisdom that you'll find here. I'm so glad to have you here. And I'm especially honored that you are our first guest, because this podcast is all about sacred sites. And I know that you are probably the one person I know personally who knows the sacred sites of Greece as well as I do.
Thank you so much for having me, my love. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm so excited to talk about sacred sites, because I know it's something we both love.
Yeah. Yes. And let's jump right into it. Delphi. Delphi is, I think, the most sacred place in Greece. It's the omphalos, it's the navel of the universe, the spiritual center of the world. And it's been a site of pilgrimage for thousands of years, and that shows no sign of decreasing. There's actually something that really was humbling for me to learn, is that there are more people visiting Delphi today than in any previous year of ancient times. You know, even though we're not necessarily seeing only pilgrims from a spiritual perspective coming to Delphi, it is so beloved, and the energy there is so powerful for so many people.
Oh my goodness, I love Delphi so much. And I want to preface this because I have been studying sacred sites since I was 20 years old. My first degree was in geography, specifically human geography. And I had a module all about sacred geographies, which was all about studying sacred spaces. And at that time, we went on a field trip to Barcelona, and the assignment was to choose 2 to 3 sacred sites. And they did not define what a sacred site was, and analyze them as to how the sacred is portrayed through these sites. And I remember a cemetery, I chose a cathedral, and I chose a football stadium. And my argument was that the football stadium was the most sacred of all the different spaces. And I got the highest mark in that field trip. And that was because when you think about it, in a football stadium, you have so many people passionate about something. And it's like the game is their God, and they're just focusing so much energy there. So I really learned to observe and study sacred spaces from different ways. I keep telling people that if I was ever to do a PhD, it would be on sacred geographies. But bringing it back to Delphi, I have a very interesting relationship with Delphi. I've been there twice. I know you've been multiple times there, but the second time I was there was to write my book, Ancient Manifestation Secrets. And the idea was, I had written most of the book. It was based on researching ancient Hermeticism and unraveling the manifestation secrets of the ancient Greeks and Egyptians. But then for the last part of the book, I'm like, you know what, I want to celebrate it. So I'm just going to go to Delphi and just spend 10 days there in Arachova, which is the village next to Delphi, book a cottage facing Delphi, and just spend 10 days there, finishing the book there. Now, we plan, and then the gods laugh, okay?
Because it's true.
The plan was to go there with my best friend to Athens first, spend a couple of days with her, and then for me to go to Delphi and sit there and write. And I forgot my luggage at the airport. Who does that? I'm the most controlling person ever. But I hadn't had a coffee that morning. So I arrive at the airport, I go through the security check, and I leave my luggage at the security check, going to the plane. While the plane was taking off, I realized I don't have my luggage with me. And by that time, it was too late to stop the plane and go and get it. So I arrived to Athens with no clothes, with nothing essentially. So we shopped for the basics. But then I was in Delphi for 10 days with minimal possessions. And I'm like, well, God's had a plan. And the plan was not for me to go out there and explore and do my own thing and just be a tourist, was to sit there in incubation, divine incubation, and channel that book. And the majority of ancient manifestation secrets, the practices I have there are all channeled. I was waking up in the morning, having a breakfast at the Airbnb I was staying at. The couple owning the Airbnb were so lovely. They understood. I told them I was an author. They gave me the best room facing Delphi. They created this safe space for me, taking care of me. And I would ride all day long, seeing the sunset over at Delphi. I did a pilgrimage one of the days where I walked from Arachova to Delphi. It took like 2 to 3 hours to go there on
that's
foot.
far and
It was
hilly.
like, yes, and hilly, but it was like a pilgrimage for me to go there and just channel all the energies. And I feel so honored that I was able to get all that content in that book. And I knew it was something powerful because when I pitched it to my then publisher, my publisher rejected the book, saying that it's too advanced. People are not going to get it. Why don't you write a book about the Greek gods and goddesses first, and then we revisit that book? And that's how I wrote Secrets of Greek Mysticism. I wrote it after writing Ancient Manifestation Secrets.
Sneaky.
And then I'm like Lee, I'm not gonna wait for a publisher to give me permission to write that book. So I found another publisher and I pitched Ancient Manifestation Secrets. So that's why this year I have 2 books coming out. Secrets of Greek Mysticism that came out in April, and then Ancient Manifestation Secrets that comes out in November. And it's basically the sequel. So the universe, the gods had a plan. But my point is, sacred sites are powerful. They hold wisdom, they hold energies, they hold memory. And when we go there with intention and consciousness, we can access that, tap into that, inspire ourselves with that, and then channel it into the world.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautifully said. Exactly. And I always say that visiting a sacred site is like a fast pass. It's like giving an enzyme, to the catalyzing reaction you're hoping to happen in your life. It is so fast, quick, the magic that can flow to you when you've come from a sacred site.
They upgrade you so much. In my book, Lightworkers Gotta Work, I had a whole chapter about portals of energy. And I talked about these portals all around the world that hold codes and frequencies like such as sacred sites. But also, we can access that energy without even visiting them. Because I know many people are like, I don't have the money to travel all across the world to go to Delphi and connect with the energy. Can I still connect to Delphi? Yes, because it's all interconnected. So we can spend time in meditation accessing those places. When I was studying sacred sites in geography, there were like academics, they like to come up with theories. And they were like, okay, what makes a sacred site sacred? And there were, at the time, I don't know if there are more now, 3 theories as to why a sacred site is sacred. First theory is that sacred sites are ontologically given, meaning that there is natural energy there. And when you think about like ley lines, for example, it makes sense when 2 ley lines cross, that crossing is a naturally and it's an ontologically sacred site. So that theory is valid in my book. Yeah. The second perspective and theory was that sacred sites become sacred as a result of people and like a number of people collectively raising energy there through time. And when you think about, for example, the Camino de Santiago in Spain, there's nothing sacred about the land there. It's just so many people have done it and have infused it with their energy and intention, it became sacred. And then you have the third theory, which says that sacred site is created around your energy field with your presence. And for those of you who practice like the sacred arts and witchcraft and energy, we know that we have our aura. And when we meditate, we create a sacred space around us. And therefore, wherever we are, that space can become sacred when we define it as sacred. So we have all these academics fighting with one another, like which theory is correct? And I'm like, they're all right. And what if we can bring all these theories together to like create even more powerful sacred sites and therefore go to an ontologically sacred site with a group of people infusing it with our own personal energy and collective energies, imagine the amount of wisdom we can access while there.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. It's so powerful and so underrated what land itself holds and what holds beneath it, like these ley lines.
So much.
So before we go, I would like you to share the sacred sites in Cyprus because I have yet to visit Cyprus. And there is a general misconception that Cyprus and Greece are just the same. I think people even get Cyprus mixed up with Crete, the island. So tell people about Cyprus, how it's not Greece, and some of your favorite sacred sites, especially if you've gotten to do ritual there. Tell us what it feels like there.
Funny story from last week. I won like Mind Body Spirit Writer of the Year from like
Oh my
Soul and
gosh.
Spirit. Yes.
Congrats. You should have led with that. I didn't know.
Thank you. I was so excited. So it's by Kindred Spirit magazine in the UK, and they awarded me with this award.
Oh,
I'm like, thank you so much. And they were like, we want to send you like a bunch of goodies to like, and your award, like a framed award. I'm like, great. Waiting for it for 2 months, not arriving. And I got an email saying, sorry, we had an issue with the customs. Here's a tracking number. It's on the way now. And I go to the tracking number via UPS to see what's happening. They sent it to Greece. It went all the way to Sparta, like a freaking village in Greece, okay?
yeah.
For them
Yep.
to realize it's actually meant to go to Cyprus, they
Oh my
sent it
God.
back to the UK and then from the UK back to Cyprus. And the parcel comes and I see it like my address, Cyprus is nowhere to be found. It says Greece. And by the way, I
Oh,
never
geez.
told them I am from Greece. It says Cyprus there. And I replied back to them like, actually, there was no problem with the customs. You just sent it to the wrong country because
Yeah.
Cyprus is Greek, but we're not part of Greece. So the whole idea is it's the Republic of Cyprus. It is a country, but we have a Greek history. We have a Greek culture. We speak Greek. We are considered to be Greek, but we're living within a different country. So that is a
Well, and
difference.
it's like
But
the difference between like Hellenism. Like I think that's what gets lost in English is like the Hellenic people is the, I guess, over circle. And then within that circle is like Greece, the country, and
yes,
Cyprus, the country.
yes, because there are Hellenes, for example, in Italy as well, and like in
Yeah.
different parts of the world, like it's like the Hellenic world. So when you look at our history, like we have so many sacred sites. According to the myth, Aphrodite was born here. And we have the Aphrodite's rock, where according to the myth, she washed like on the land there. And therefore we have the biggest temple and cult of Aphrodite in Cyprus. We have a couple of main temples where the Aphrodisia festival was held in the ancient times, and people would come from all around the Hellenic world to like celebrate Aphrodite. We had the cult of Aphroditus, who is the male version of Aphrodite, and a statue, I believe,
Mm.
was found at Amathus, which is an ancient city here in Cyprus, and where there is a temple to Aphrodite of the Aphrodite statue. That is a statue of Aphrodite with a penis, a phallus, essentially. And during the Aphrodisia festival, they would bake phallus-shaped bread, essentially, to serve to people. But when you go before the ancient Greek times as well, Cyprus always celebrated the great goddess of Cyprus. She didn't have a name, not that we know of, but it was this idea of a great mother, a great goddess that eventually, during the Hellenistic years, when the Hellenic world was taking over Cyprus more and more, she took the form of Aphrodite. And then during the Christian years, she took the form of Mother Mary. So the land has always had a strong connection with a female deity, the energy of the earth, and she was a symbol of fertility. The first ever archaeological artifact found in Cyprus is a statue of the great goddess of Cyprus, and we actually have her on our euros, on the euro coins. We have her; it's the
Mm.
national symbol of Cyprus. Aphrodite, essentially, the great mother, the great goddess, is our national symbol, one of our national symbols. So to give you specific sites, we have the two temples of Aphrodite at Palepafos, Kouklia. It's a village in Cyprus, and that's the biggest one. And there was also an oracle of Aphrodite there. Yes, Aphrodite had her own oracles as well. The other one is at Amathus, another temple to Aphrodite. We also have a temple to Apollo. Eladios. That's the name of Apollo, and the temple is standing there in Paphos. And there are multiple other sacred sites all around the island. Some of them have been like excavated, some of them have not. But there's so much sacredness here. And when I compare it to Greece, people are more accepting of us going there and practicing rituals and doing work there. Because I've done rituals in a group format and by myself at several of these sites, making libations and offerings and living them there. Like, of course, like biodegradable stuff, nothing to pollute the environment. And nobody said anything just because I think they're scared. But I feel there's more acceptance.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And for anyone listening too, we have a episode together on George's podcast, on the Lit Up Lightworker, where we were talking in detail about some of these sacred sites. So I do encourage you to go listen to that. And also, if you're planning to visit Greece, we talk about some of the ways to be more respectful at sites and to kind of deal with with the fallout of visiting a sacred site as a sacred person. Because the TLDR version is that in Greece, there's no separation of church and state. And so the Greek Orthodox Church has a strong presence, and you can read that presence even in museums, even in the texts that they will choose to share or the stuff they choose to put on display. People are always like, where are all the curse tablets? I took a course with Marguerite Johnson. She's a professor from Australia who works primarily in reconstructing sex magic practices from ancient cultures, but in an archaeological way. And for some reason, she went down a tangent of curse tablets. And so she did a 6-week course on curse tablets in ancient Greece. And I took her course. And she said that there were thousands of them found. And I was like, well, where are they on display? There's none. I've never seen them. She said, well, in my experiences and talking to these curators, it's superstition. There are only 4 on display, and they're all at Keramikos Ancient Cemetery in Athens.
I actually asked them, remember when we were there together?
Yes, that's right. And they were like, never heard of it. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yes, and I basically gave the guide a lecture on the curse tablets because I learned like all about them. And then I'm like, okay, they have like one like they are all like a couple of them. Like, where are the other ones? They're like, they are stored at the National Museum somewhere and like in a I don't know, like secret place. But yes, they don't have them on display because of superstition.
It's crazy.
It's funny. And I also share here in Cyprus, we have the modern temple of Zeus. And that's actually quite special in the sense that in Greece, there are no modern temples, as far as I know, because
just
of
the indoor, like
just the indoor one.
Office.
Yeah, just the indoor one. But we actually built a temple out in a space in Olympia, which comes from Olympia, because in the ancient times, it was the ancient Olympia of Cyprus in honor of Zeus. And we built the first modern temple of Zeus there. And that site by itself is not sacred, but by building a temple there, we make it sacred. And that's, I think, the beauty of it.
Exactly.
When we create sacred space. And imagine if we all created more sacred spaces, how much more portals of light and wisdom we would create all around the world.
And that's my dream too, is to empower people to recognize that there are sacred places that aren't labeled, they're not listed, but they're sacred because you find them and because the land welcomes you there and because you keep putting your good energy out to that land. And we create them. We create sacred places.
100%, yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the Seeking Numina with Elyse Wells podcast. Tell everybody where they can find your books, where they can get ancient manifestation secrets, and find out where you're teaching and what work they can join in that you're doing.
Yeah. So you can find out all about me by going to georgelizos.com or find me on Instagram at George Lizos. And when you go to ancientmanifestationsecrets.com, when you get the book, you also get a free past life regression where I will take you to your past lives where you had already mastered manifestation to retrieve past life skills into your present lifetime. And Ancient Manifestation Secret, I love this book. It's, first of all, partly channeled. It teaches you the 7 manifestation laws of the universe. We go beyond the law of attraction. I really communicate the fact that the law of attraction is not the most powerful law in the universe. There are other laws that we can work with for manifestation. And I teach you how to manifest using your energy field and therefore how to plant desires into your energy field, connect with frequencies, with energies, with the energies of the land to bring those desires telepathically, like attract and magnetize those desires into your life. I also make the case that negative emotions and beliefs don't work against manifestation. And I teach you how to process and resolve negative states and emotions using cognitive processes and energetic processes, such as eye movement therapy, for example. So it's a blend of like cognitive, energetic, and spiritual and practical tools to manifest in a more pragmatic, more nuanced way. We go beyond the practices such as visualization and vision boards and affirmations, which I love, but let's work with our energy field. Let's come to the essence of manifestation that the ancient Greeks and Egyptians already knew, but we've forgotten, and we are given right now a very toned down version of that. Let's get to the root of it. So that is the purpose of the book.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so excited myself to read it. My copy is, I think, being shipped to the US as we speak. So it will have arrived by the time I get home. And I am super excited just for all the things you're doing. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for Seeking Numina with me today. Join me at patreon.com/Elyse Wells to support this show and get access to a library of rituals, exclusive videos, meditations, and more. To learn more about my upcoming retreats, book a tarot reading, or learn with me in workshops, classes, or mentorship, visit seekingnumina.com.